first Cindy van Zanen. Cindy van Zanen is from the Netherlands. She's on my right, maybe. Yes, thank you for giving your emojis. She's the moderator of this event. She helps me out with the technical stuff. She's also keeping order in this place. We cannot do it without our good technical people. And we have here in front of me Fox Cambot. He is actually Jason One. He's also part of the team, and he is recording this session because we want always, when we have really, really good speakers with a really interesting topic, we want to record that. And today we have such a speaker. So we are so happy to have Jason One. Please give him also a big hand that he is helping us out with these things. Thank you. Yeah, beautiful. So my name is Dana Maria Vaneke. I'm the founder of Captain VR. And my mission is to help people to become the captains of their lives. And I believe virtual reality is the most powerful tool to help me with my mission. That's why the name is Captain VR. And we develop experiences for people to help them to reach goals and their dreams in life and to have the best life possible. So this is our mission, to create apps, but also we educate people on how to use technology in an effective way and accessible way. So, and that's why we also do this, do these sessions. We do these weekly sessions as a mission to build a network of organizations and enterprises around the world who are interested in VR coaching and personal development, and provide them an interactive space where they can connect, communicate, and share knowledge to help organizations to create a pleasant working atmosphere in a time-efficient and cost-effective way to have healthy, happy, and effective people in this world. So thank you all for being here. Today's guest speaker, and I want to also share you why we're doing this event. So during this event, you get a chance to learn from an expert in the field of virtual reality embodiment. Today's guest speaker is Desiderio Cano Porras. Cano Porras, sorry if I say your name. You probably will repeat your name again, but Desiderio is a researcher in the Brightlands Institute for Smart Technology, Smart Society, BISS, from Maastricht University, and he will tell us all about embodiment in VR and how we can change behavior with that. So please, please give him a big hand. It's an honor to have him. Desiderio Cano.
Thank you, Dana Maria. Can everyone hear me well? Yeah. Can someone tell me if you can hear me well, please?
Yes, we hear you well.
Okay, good. Okay, so first, thank you, Dana Maria, for the kind invitation. It is a pleasure for me to be here. Very nice to be sharing this space. As Dana Maria introduced me correctly, my name is Desiderio. I am a researcher in BISS. For those who don't know BISS, BISS is the Interfaculty Institute from Maastricht University that promotes translational data-driven innovation, research, and education with a focus on the responsible implementation of novel technologies by individuals and by societies. And I am going to talk with you today about virtual reality, and specifically a feature of virtual reality that we call embodiment. And let me tell you something. Normally, when probably most of you know what VR is and are familiar with definitions of virtual reality, but mostly, in general, these definitions speak about how virtual reality allows us to reproduce, or to simulate environments similar to the real life. However, what is more interesting with virtual reality is that we are able to create environments that are impossible in real life. And this is when the game starts to become nicer. Good. I hope you liked the two sentences I put here, because I think they describe a little bit of what this conversation is going to be. Technologies determine nothing, but technologies can influence everything. And technologies can be understood and reproduced as extensions of ourselves. Okay, so we will have a little bit of a talk. As Dana Maria explained, you can ask questions if you have questions during the presentation of my slides. But we are going to have also an open discussion at the end. So it is up to you if you prefer to ask questions during the slides or let them to the end of the presentation. And in the middle, we will have a little exercise in between 5 and 10 minutes in which we are going to practice something together.
Yes,
Switch.
and you can ask your questions by raising the hand button, by pushing the raise hand button on your right button side. Is a raise hand in the down button, and this is how we can see that you ask a question and can unmute you.
Good.
Go ahead,
Thank you,
Desiderio.
Dan.
Welcome.
As you may know, virtual reality is part of a continuous of technologies that we call extended reality. And extended reality is just, we can define it as everything apart from real life that has virtual content on it. So extended reality covers not only virtual reality, but also augmented reality and mixed reality. During this presentation, I will be talking mostly about virtual reality, but in some slides and in some parts, I will be talking in more general sense about extended reality. Good. So, okay. Okay. So let us see first this slide. This slide, first it tells us something about the Netherlands. In 2018, in the Netherlands, 5% of the population had already a virtual reality headset in their homes. Of course, this number today is probably much higher than that, especially due to COVID-19, because the pandemic accelerated the commercialization of headsets and head-mounted displays. And then we see the figure that you see in your left. It is a figure that shows the technology adoption rates in the USA from 1960 until 2020. And it shows us about different kind of technologies. It shows, for example, about color TV, personal computer, internet, cell phone, etc. And you see two small lines in the bottom, in the right. And the figure in the right is a zoom out of these two lines. So this is telling us something. First, while other technologies like PC and TV are attaining a plateau, right, or are stagnating in the adoption rates, and we see, for example, that the PC is actually decreasing in the adoption rates. In comparison to that, we have that augmented reality and virtual reality are increasing. And if you see the figure in the right, it shows us only the years from 2015 to 2020. So there is a steady increase in the commercialization and the use of the technologies. But this is just something related to the Netherlands and USA. And this is actually not a sample that can be generalized to the whole global, to the whole world. Okay. So the truth is that the situation in the USA and also in Western Europe is quite a bit different. You can still hear me, right? I have a message here that says that I have been mute. No.
We can still hear you. I
Okay.
can still hear you. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, everybody.
Thank
can hear
you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good. So basically, what we see here is that Asia and Australia are today in a much higher growth of using the technology in comparison to USA and Western Europe. But still, we see that Latin American countries, African countries, and the Middle East are still delayed. What I mean with this slide is that there is different contextual situation depending on which part of the world you are on. And it implies that there is a lot of things to do and there is a lot of room to increase both in the development and in the adoption and in the incorporation of virtual reality technologies. And virtual reality technologies and extended reality technologies, they are being used in a wide set of applications in the medical rehabilitation arena, in education, in the office, in the industry for factories, for example, or also in the supply chains or e-commerce sector. And this is true that there are sectors today that are being currently disrupted by extended reality technologies. In this figure, probably you cannot see every single company that appears in this figure, but you can browse it after this presentation. This is the Virtual Reality Fund from 2019. This is the VR industry landscape. It kind of compiles the higher companies in the world that are using virtual reality technologies and operate with VR in their working. So it divides, for example, in education, in the gaming sector, in the rehabilitation sector, and it divides on which companies are, for example, working on software development, which ones are working on avatar technologies, etc. Well, for the rest of this presentation, I will be talking mostly about neuroscience and behavior and about healthcare. Why? Because this is my experience so far. So what about VR and AR for healthcare? What is interesting is that VR can disrupt several stages in the healthcare process, not only in the rehabilitation, but also in the prevention of the disease, in the prediction and in the management of the disease, and also in the diagnosis. So what we are talking here is that VR is a tool to promote positive health. What is positive health? Positive health is a concept actually very much used in the Netherlands today that says that health is not just having the absence of disease. Positive health refers to persons who are healthy physically, mentally, socially, and spiritually. So it involves, for example, participation in the community, social integration, quality of life, daily functioning, bodily functioning, also mental well-being and meaningfulness. So this is very important on how VR can impact different stages of healthcare, promoting positive health. And the specific sectors where it is going used nowadays include acute pain, orthopedics, palliative care, rehabilitation of stroke patients, traumatic brain injury, and also chronic pain, respiratory medicine. So there are many areas. And in a survey conducted last year, there were more than 200 emerging medical companies that were identified by using VR in their operations. Good. So that was a little bit of context, and I will talk now mostly about how VR can do those things. So there are two general concepts that are most very well known, let's put it like that, is immersion and presence. Immersion, I will not get into the details of the definition of immersion, but we can say that head-mounted displays usually are understood as immersive VR equipment. Why they are immersive? Because when you get a head-mounted display, you are totally immersed in the VR environment. For example, if you are in your living room, you cannot see what is in your living room. You cannot see your books, you cannot see the dining table, you cannot see the couch or the other table or over there. You only see what is the virtual reality environment. That's why we call immersion. And we also have the sense of presence. And the sense of presence is telling us about how identified you feel with the virtual reality environment, to what extent you feel that you're actually present in the virtual reality environment. But here I am going to tell you about 3 more illusions that are very much powerful, and they imply on how successful is your VR experience. The first one is the place illusion. And we have here the column of illusion and the column of interpretation. The place illusion tells you, I am here. And I can use the example of a football stadium. You are in a virtual reality environment that is showing you a football stadium. So if you feel that you are actually in that environment, you have a place illusion that is successful with you. But what is happening when you are in a football stadium? First, you are looking at the game. You can watch the game, but also there is a background noise around you. There are people buying popcorn or a hot dog or a soda, right? Or you can see people talking to each other or shooting at the players because they are not doing well, right? So the plausibility illusion is more constructed because it implies movement, implies a change in time. So in the football stadium example, when you feel that you are actually living the experience of being in there, that's called the plausibility illusion, right? And the last illusion that I wanted to talk to you is the body ownership illusion. And this refers exactly to embodiment because it refers to what extent you feel identified with a virtual agent or an avatar that is representing you in the environment. But how virtual reality can promote behavior through these illusions? First, because virtual reality exploits the way our brain learning and reward system functions. For example, virtual reality can activate neuroplasticity, can shorten the reward feedback loop by progress, and can leverage mirror neurons. These are mechanistic examples of how this can happen. I will speak about mirror neurons in the next slides. So we are speaking about neural mechanisms that involve sensory motor integration, multisensory feedback, active perception, and augmented feedback as well. Mirror neurons is a very fascinating scientific topic to study nowadays. Mirror neurons, they started to be talked about in the 90s. So it's kind of fresh in science. And mirror neurons referred to neurons or brain regions that respond in a similar way when you perform an action, but also when you observe an action. And in this figure, we see, for example, brain regions that have been related to the mirror neurons theory. So you can try to perceive, maybe you perceive the potential of this by using virtual reality, because VR is a tool that enables you to have feedback about an action that you perform, but also enables you to watch and observe others doing the same actions. And even you can observe an avatar of yourself doing the same action, right? So this is one of the ways we can exploit VR for doing this. And in the right, you see a picture of a future self. So something that we can do, and it's actually being done nowadays, is to use future self-representations, avatars that look like you, but let's say 3 years older or 5 years older. So when you have these avatars, you can, for example, visualize a goal in your life for the next 5 or 3 years and use it in the avatar, and you can be observing that avatar performing actions that you want to perform in your life. Well, I will now tell you about a Greek mythology story. This is a Greek mythology story. So I will tell you about Proteus. Proteus, Homer used to call Proteus the old man of the sea. Proteus is the guy who was working with Poseidon in the sea. Proteus was a Greek god that can change his appearance as well. So depending on the task or the goal he has, he can change into a human, into a snake, into a horse, or into a sea creature. If you, like me, believe that we are much overwhelmed by Greek words nowadays, right? So you can take the Aztec god of rain and giver of life, Tlaloc. Tlaloc, because of his divinity, can also change shapes and forms. So in the rest of this presentation, you can take Proteus or you can take Tlaloc, it doesn't matter. And I tell you this story because I want to introduce you with another intriguing concept called the Proteus effect. The Proteus effect is a psychological phenomenon that people conform in behavior and attitudes to their avatar's characteristics. So in this figure, I more or less exemplify or illustrate how does it work. So, for example, if you use the headset and you are having embodiment in an avatar that has a charming look or has a charming behavior. So after the VR experience, you will get more charming behaviors. That's basically how it works. So you are going to adapt the characteristics of the avatar you are using in the virtual reality environment. And this concept of the Proteus effect has been investigated, for example, in dating partner choices, antisocial behavior, physical exercise, racial bias, financial risk-taking, creative thinking, etc. And I am currently engaged, for example, in the Socrates project. The Socrates project is a project funded by the European Union Horizons 2020 Research and Innovation Program. And basically, we want to use virtual reality for treatment of persons with obesity. The idea is to use virtual reality embodiment and body swapping to generate self-conversations in virtual reality embodiment to enhance healthier lifestyles among persons with obesity. This is a consortium that involves not only Maastricht University, but other institutions as well. And here, for example, one of the things that we want to do in this project is to create avatars that have different shapes. So if you are a person with obesity, your avatar can be an avatar that looks fitter, right? Or just a little bit more obese, let's say, if you want, for example, to show that the shape is not a contingent of who is the human person behind. But we are going to work with this by manipulating the avatars of persons with obesity. Also, for example, older selves of the persons with obesity. And to finalize these theoretical concepts, why VR is effective in this way. So I will tell you something. You probably like good stories. I think that every human being likes good stories. Maybe the stories that you like are different from the stories that I like, right? But everyone, I remember when I was a kid, my father telling a story, and then my old uncle telling a story, or my grandpa. I was fascinated, and it was very easy to trick me because the story was very well narrated. Well, VR allows you to get a personalized, customized story for you. How does it work? Because VR provides superior retention, also can create context and relevance, and because VR enhances the creation of meaning and personal relevance. You can, ideally, with VR, construct your own world, your own dreams, or your own personal goal planning. And that's how VR can be effective for you. Okay, so let us talk a little bit about VR embodiment more in detail. So VR embodiment is the illusion of being within another body, a life-size virtual body or avatar that substitutes your own from first-person perspective. If you remember in my first slides, I was speaking about the body ownership illusion. Well, So here in this figure, in your left, you see a typical calibration stage in VR in which a person uses the headset and there is a scanning process to generate the avatar, etc. And then you have, for example, in the middle figure, you can see that your avatar can be, for example, a young avatar or older avatar, or your avatar, for example, can be a female or a male avatar. Yes, with embodiment, you can also change genders. You can, for example, embody an avatar with a different skin color or with different physical aspects. This is possible. And also you can embody an animal, by the way. Well, and then in the right, you see embodiment is also, we understand embodiment usually the whole body, but it doesn't need to be like that. You can embody, for example, only a hand, for example, the rubber hand illusion that has been reproduced in virtual reality, or the effacement illusion in which you embody only a face. And also, as I say, there are studies of racial bias using embodiment in avatars that have a different color scheme. Well, this is a figure from a group in Switzerland. It's called Olaf Blank. He is a great researcher in his group, has been studying why this process of embodiment is effective in behavior, right? And what is interesting here is that body consciousness is a brain dynamic construct. We don't yet how we understand our own body. But our own body, as in the sentence I put in the first slide, technology can be an extension to our body. So here, for example, you see brain areas that get activated and respond to multisensory inputs. For example, in the upper figure, you see brain areas that responds within multisensory inputs within peripersonal space. For example, about your hand in red, about your face in blue, or about your trunk in green. And in the lower picture, you see brain areas that responds to body self-consciousness manipulation by avatars, underlying ownership for the hand in red, for the face, and also when we talk about self-identification and self-location. So again, our concept of the body schema, what is the body represents for us is a dynamic construct. I hope that I am clear in this message because it's very clear. You can manipulate and work with the idea of your own body. Virtual reality is a tool for doing that. Well, so for you to understand the effect of this dynamic construct that is the body, I will show you an example. This is a study from Maastricht University in collaboration with Virtual Bodyworks from Spain, and it is an fMRI virtual reality study. In this study, we invited aggressors of domestic violence, perpetrators that were in suspended trials. We recruit them from the Justice Department of the government of Catalonia, and they were exposed to a virtual reality application showing domestic violence. This is what we show here in this figure. So basically, these participants were men, and they need to embody a virtual female avatar that is going to be the victim of a domestic violence abuse in this scene. So you can see in the figure, there is the person embody the virtual female victim, and then there is a man who enters into the room, and this man starts to get a very aggressive behavior towards the female victim. And there is a physical act of violence when the aggressor throws the telephone through the floor and then invades the personal space of the victim, that is the participant. So by doing this, the objective was to increase empathy because the perpetrator can get in the feet of the victim. So we want to promote empathy and social cognition. And by doing so, to decrease perception to change perception, attitudes, and behavior. The ultimate goal is to decrease the repetition of violence against the partner, against a family member. And this is, for example, something that was engaged in a rehabilitation program for these perpetrators in Spain for social reintegration. And we are trying to do something similar here in the Netherlands. What is interesting in this study from Maastricht University in combination with the partners is that we use very advanced functional magnetic resonance imaging scanners. You may know that Maastricht University has some of the most advanced fMRI scans. And what is interesting here is that we can put the participant in the scanner and the participant, while inside in the scanner, is able to see using special goggles the virtual reality scene, right? And we can see how the brain is activated and how the brain changes, right, while the person is looking at the scene. And this allowed us, for example, to see that the person change increases, for example, the sense of embodiment, the sense of identification with the virtual avatar, and also that there are brain regions strongly activated and synchronized when you are exposed as being the female virtual avatar victim of the domestic violence abuse. For example, the amygdala, and maybe some of you know the amygdala is a brain region responsible for threat and body protection. And the amygdala was activated when the perpetrator invaded the peripersonal space of the victim. Good. Okay, I am almost getting to the end of the presentation. I think 3 more slides and that's it. I hope you are still okay and you are with me in the conversation. Good. So what is the situation of virtual reality today in the context of novel technologies? VR is being integrated with smart technologies like sensors and wearables, right? So it makes part of the Internet of Things, and it can be integrated with many kind of different sensors. Also, I am currently working in something that I call organic embodiment. Organic embodiment is a concept under design. It implies biofeedback from your biological functions. For example, by using virtual interfaces of biomedical signals, or by using virtual representations of cardiac vital signs, or virtual representations of your respiration patterns, for instance. In that sense, virtual reality makes also part of what we call now digital twins. And it has implications for telemedicine and for education especially. Maybe you know digital twins is also a kind of fresh concept, but digital twins was born for industry, especially for factories. For example, to have digital twins of cars, and you can use the digital twin to simulate a car accident and to predict what is going to happen with the car and with the person who is driving the car. But now there is a translation in the adaptation of this concept, and we are starting to use digital twins of biological functions using VR and other extended reality technologies. So here in the right, you see, for example, the lungs, some virtual lungs, illustrating how COVID-19 infect the lungs. So you can illustrate the process using VR. It is, for example, meaningful for clinical training, for educational purposes. And in the left side, you see a living heart. There are 2 global projects, very important projects taking place nowadays. One is the Living Heart Project, and another is the Human Brain Project. And they try to escalate this in a global scale on using virtual digital twins of the brain and of the heart. Good. So this is to finalize. What happens now? What is the situation when you are talking to your colleagues, with your friends? So what I see is several limitations. For example, it is very detrimental for us, for our progress in science, in research, in education, it is very detrimental that still there is a large proportion of the general public that automatically link, right, virtual reality as a video gaming platform. Virtual reality is a much powerful tool for us to decrease it just into a video gaming platform. It serves for much more deeper things and applications. Also, something that is detrimental to our current work with virtual reality is comparing the comparison to Hollywood productions. So, for example, when you try to explain that you are working in science or with virtual reality, people say, it is like Avatar, it is like a Star Wars. Well, very unfortunately, in my opinion, we don't have the resources that Hollywood has for their productions. And this is really very unfortunate. Well, and virtual reality, in my opinion, will be in the near future a more powerful tool when it will attain higher levels of ubiquity, customization, and technical quality. But this is a continuous ideal direction. And this is a role of virtual reality to go in that direction. And if you want more about that, I suggest for you to read the book of Jaron Lanier, who is the person who is famous for coining the term virtual reality. And finally, it is fundamental to be ethically and legally responsible in the implementation of VR. We are dealing with a lot of sensible personal information. So careful the moment that we are analyzing or processing data related to individuals and to organizations. Well, I thank you very much for your attention. I hope you are still with me because we have an exercise for you. Thank you, thank you.
Beautiful. Yes, it is amazing what you're telling. It's so much information also, and so many research you already did about embodiment. Great, so great. And I have some questions. So this is also the time to ask questions. So please feel free to push the raise hand button to raise your hand, and we can unmute you and give you the mic. Ah. Okay, please feel free to ask any questions. I start with the question, Desiderio, if you don't mind. You were talking about how many about the future self. Future self. How many situations do you already have for future self?
How many what? Sorry?
Situations. For example, if you look at your future self, what do you see? What kind of situation?
It really depends. It really depends on the application. For example, one of the areas where future cells are being pretty much used is in financial planning or retirement planning or investing planning. So the problem is that people in general have problems for visualizing themselves in the future. And for example, you don't believe that in 10 years you can have economical problems because you are doing well
Sorry,
today.
did you put yourself on? Can you please put yourself on megaphone? Somehow you got out of the megaphone. Please, can you repeat what you were saying?
Yes. Sorry. Yes. Now, so one of the applications today where future self is being used is in financial planning, in investment and retirement planning, because people have, for example, generally problems to visualize themselves in the future. You usually don't think that much about what will happen in 10 years on, in 15 years on. So people believe that because they are fine economically today, they will not have problems necessarily in a couple of years or in a few years on. So this is the idea of the future self. In the future self, in that case, you will see, for example, yourself with a good retirement folder, right? A good investment portfolio. And this is in this example. Another example is, for example, if you are a person with obesity, you can visualize yourself in 5 years having a healthier eating behaviors or more physical activity. So it really depends, Dana Maria. what is the application.
Great. So now you're talking about maybe 2 situations that you have as a study? More?
Yes, no, I am not studying right now with financial advisors, but the project with obesity involves this kind of approach. So, for example, in the project with obesity, one of the things we are going to do in order to create, to promote autonomy and self-determination among the patients is that they will be able to engage in a self-conversation, having their own avatar and conversing with the future self of their avatars. So this is a self-conversation. This is a psychological approach. They will see themselves, for example, in a fitter avatar body, like a fitter avatar body, and also the future self will be speaking about healthy eating habits, about healthy activities to be performed.
Beautiful, beautiful. Amazing that you're already doing that. Anybody else have some question? Please feel free to ask any questions by raising the hand. Push the raise hand button on your right button side and ask your questions. No questions yet. It was just really clear, I think, Desiderio. But Desiderio is gonna do an exercise with us, so don't go away. Stay, please, for the exercise.
Yeah. This exercise is just, I mean, it is, I want you, hopefully, that you take it a little bit spiritually and personal, and also because I want to illustrate how virtual reality embodiment can have a practical, tangible effect in the life of every single individual in this world. So let's do the exercise. And the exercise is called If I Were Proteus. Hopefully you remember my slides about Proteus. Proteus is the old man of the sea, is a Greek god that can change into different shapes or forms. It can be an animal, it can be a human, it can be a tree, so different shapes. But what I want you is that if you can try to close your eyes and also try to identify a problem in your life or a goal that you have currently in your life. And then I will ask you to think, if you were Proteus, what form would you like to take in order to converge to that problem or in order to attain your goal? And then I will ask you, which biological functions would you give to your Proteus? I will give you one example. For example, if you have the goal to quit smoking, if you were Proteus, maybe you would be willing to take the form of someone who doesn't smoke anymore. And maybe you would be willing to give that avatar or form a biological function, speaking about your lungs, because your respiration was affected by smoking. So you want to see, after using the Proteus powers, how your respiration changed. Also, if you were, another example is that if you want to lose weight, maybe you want, if you were Proteus, to become a person with healthier lifestyles. And for example, you want to give to that another avatar a biological function speaking about your cardiac frequency, because persons with obesity get tired and the heart starts pumping very fast for every single kind of movement. Just for you to stand up and move to the kitchen is an exercise. So try to do the exercise. I will give you 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Close the eyes, think on a problem, on a goal, and if you were Proteus, what would you change in your life? And second, which biological functions could be more representative for those changes you want to attain? So I will give you 2 minutes and then we see. Okay. I hope I didn't interrupt your personal journey. And the question now is if anyone wants to share what proteus would you like to have and which biological function.
If you could push the right hand button on your right button side to share your experience. What did you visualize? How did your future self look like? Which goal or problem did you solve? Which goal did you want to reach? Does anybody dare to share?
If anyone wants to take the word,
yes.
I can share. Who?
We have. Let me see. Angie Barn. Please feel free to share. Angie. Did you by accident maybe raise the hand button? Angie Barnard?
Can you hear me now?
Speak? Yes.
Yes.
Now we
yes,
can hear
we
you.
can hear you well.
Okay. Sorry, I had a visual of becoming more of a high-end rock climber and being able to scale more challenging cliffs than I can at the moment, and being able to travel the world leveraging that sport. So my biological function, of course, was a much tighter physical physique, lighter, a little bit in weight, and mentally more fit to move past challenges on a rock climbing wall.
Oh, thank you, Angie. Thank you. That's very much inspiring. And yes, I love also. I am not good at rock climbing, but when I try, I really enjoy it. We will try to talk about that. Let me see if there is anyone else that still wants to share a little bit his or her experience.
Yes, please feel free to push the raise hand button on your right button side, and then we can give you the mic, and then you can share your experience.
Well, Dana Maria. So maybe I will conclude.
Yeah, go on. Yes,
Good.
that's also good.
Thank you, Angie, for the representative explanation. When I did the exercise myself, I was I became an avatar, or I took the form of someone who speaks really well Dutch, right? Because I am trying to learn Dutch. And I still have this situation that when I try to speak Dutch to other people, my hands start sweating, right? And I get like my temperature goes higher. So that's why I will give these biological functions to my avatar about the sweating in my hands and also my temperature. But I really want to improve my Dutch skills. Well, and why I did this exercise? Because I believe that this is one of the ways in which virtual reality should work and should work well. This is a magnificent, powerful tool to do something like that, because VR can first put you in another world, that world that you want, and second, create an avatar of yourself that is fulfilling the goals that you want. So you can use that as a reference, as a compass. You can use that as the north to follow, the direction. And with virtual reality can give you augmented feedback about how you are doing. You will know your performance, you will know your results, you can better plan, you can better design what is your goal and what is the process and the mechanisms that you are going to take in order to arrive to that point. And this is what virtual reality embodiment allow us to do. And this is how we should start visualizing virtual reality. Because in the time that we start being able to personalize virtual reality environments and applications, in the moment that every single individual is able to design in VR In that moment, we will have a tool in hand that will allow us to go much farther in the way we integrate technology to our lives. And that's what I wanted to share with you. And the exercise is very good, not only with virtual reality, but I invite you to do kind of exercise just in general, because it can be helpful for you to recognize and identify what is going on in your life right now. So with that, I want to thank you. I want to thank you really very much. I will put emojis here. And thank you, Dana Marie, for the really kind invitation. It was a pleasure to be a part of this initiative. It's amazing, and I hope you keep going. I will support all in my way, and hope to see you, everyone, in any other moment.
Beautiful. Please give him a big hand, Desiderio Cano. He was amazing with his stories. A lot of information about embodiment, far ahead of the rest of the world, I find, and really great. You know, it brings so many possibilities, I believe, to help people to reach goals and reach dream lives. So I'm honored that you're here and explaining about this. So thank you so much. Please, again, give him a big hand and come here to the stage, because we also want to make a selfie with all of you in it, and with Desiderio in the middle. So please come on the stage, stand next to Desiderio, and then we're gonna make a selfie picture of us in it. Hello. The other ones, are you not coming? Federico, Cici, Pascal.
You can teleport. You can teleport yourself.
Angie, please, Angie, come. Onion Man, come teleport yourself. Okay. Let's see how we can do that. Hello.
Can I do it
Cindy?
now?
Yeah, you can do it as well. But Cindy, maybe Cindy's. Are you here, Cindy, in the crowd? Make a selfie as well, and all of you.
Okay.
And also, we're gonna make a selfie like this. Where is Cindy? Cindy, you can make one with. Can you change the background maybe? Doesn't matter. I make a selfie like this. I already make some couple of selfies. Please send me some love. Some love.
Okay.
Some sorry.
Yes, sending.
Yes, a lot of love. Yes, beautiful. No, more. Yes, and smileys we want. Smileys. Say cheese. Cheese. Very
Cheese.
good. Beautiful.
Great.
And then one more. Wait a minute, Cindy. Now you turn. Now I want to be in the picture, so you come here and stand.
Of course, no problem.
So I stay a little bit more. Yes, and again, smileys. Smileys. Yes.
Can be more.
And hearts. Yes. Cheese. So thank you so much for being here, everybody. It was such a pleasure to see so many new faces and also old faces. Please also give a big hand to our crew, Jason One, who has recorded the session, and Cindy, who's moderating the session. We cannot do it without our technical service. And please, again, give a big hand also to Desiderio and yourself. And I hope to see you next week. Oh yeah, sorry, I will unmute you, everybody.